Also on the story tonight, a heartbreaking final farewell to student Otto Warmbier, who died this week after being released from his captors in North Korea. Thousands of mourners line the streets of his hometown in Ohio today, where he was remembered as being the nicest kid who had a bright future ahead of him. That's his family on the right in that picture. We know that he suffered severe brain injuries while he was in custody, and it has outraged many, including our nation's leaders. A bipartisan pair of lawmakers are trying to prevent other Americans from facing a similar fate. They join me now, California Democrat Adam Schiff and South Carolina Republican Joe Wilson. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Obviously, a very difficult day in Wyoming, Ohio today, but you are trying to have something good come out of this. Congressman Schiff, tell us about this legislation.
Well, the legislation would require a license to visit North Korea, and it would essentially ban one category, that is tourist travel. Tourist travel exposes American citizens to great risk and harm. We saw, obviously, just how tragic that can be with the death of Otto Warmbier. But it also provides a source of hard currency for North Korea. It allows the North to take Americans hostage and use them as bargaining chips to compel high-level delegation visits to try to retrieve American citizens. So this is something that we want to do more to discourage. I want to thank my colleague Joe Wilson for all of his leadership on this issue, and our Foreign Affairs Chairman Ed Royce for agreeing to take up the bill. It is a very bipartisan work product, and I think its time has certainly tragically come.
Yeah. Let's listen to this from the president last night in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
But you look at North Korea, what's going. Look at Otto, beautiful Otto. Went over there a healthy, wonderful boy. And you see how he came back. You see how he came back. So we've been given a bad hand, but we're going to take that bad hand, and it'll all be good.
Congressman Wilson, how would this bill that you're proposing hurt North Korea?
Well, I'm really grateful it would require a license before tourists could visit North Korea. Currently, people can visit at any time, but this would limit the persons. They would have to have a license from the U.S. Department of Treasury, and it would provide for humanitarian efforts, but not for tourism. Tourism only benefits the communist totalitarian dictatorship, and I'm just so proud of President Donald Trump pointing out his deep affection for Otto Warmbier and his family. The American people have been so tragically affected by this murder of just a wonderful UVA student.
You know, obviously, we've seen a lot of escalation, a lot of missile tests coming from North Korea. Today, we had a failed missile interceptor test off of Hawaii. You know, Congressman Schiff, in terms of how that part of this tension is going, you know, this bill have any impact on that? Or what do you expect from the president when it comes to that in the face of the death of Otto Warmbier and the new resolve to be stronger against this regime?
Well, I think this bill certainly signals a willingness in the United States to do whatever we need to do to crack down on North Korea, in this case, deprive North Korea of this hard currency as well as the opportunity to exploit the presence of American citizens. But there's a lot more that we need to do, as the president has alluded, and as our Secretary of State underscored recently. There's a lot more that China can do, really needs to do. China has the primary economic leverage on North Korea. I think we're going to have to make it clear to China that unless they do more, we're going to have to impose secondary sanctions on Chinese financial institutions, expand theater missile defense, expand our naval presence. Those are steps we don't necessarily want to take, but we'll have to.
I mean, there's not a ton of tourism in North Korea, but I understand, you know, the meaning behind what you're trying to do and to prevent anyone from seeing the same fate that Otto Warmbier saw when he visited that country. There are still other individuals that are there. There are 3 other Americans. What can be done in Congress? Are you putting pressure on this situation, Representative Wilson, to try to bring them home and use this as some sort of leverage?
And sadly, we've had 17 Americans that have been held by the North Koreans over the last 10 years, and 3 still are in custody. And we will be making every effort, and I appreciate the extraordinary efforts of President Trump working with President Xi of China that every effort will be made to bring these persons home, to protect American citizens, and any way that, and hey, this is a classic example of bipartisanship that the American people need to see. A Republican from South Carolina, a Democrat from California. The American people are united against the dictatorship in Pyongyang.
It's good to see both of you tonight.
Thank you very much.